will never be great till you can do more with the ball. I'm going to use a sports analogy. Don't tune me out. This is for everyone. If you don't like sports, you're going to like this. This is really good. Because what I'm talking about is skill set. Specifically, what I'm talking about is us settling on us thinking that we're an expert. And so we just play the same game with the same skills over and over and over again. We're not taking the time, like the greats, whether we look at Michael Jordan, LeBron James, the list goes on and on. Each of you have your favorite players in each of your favorite sports. And you constantly see them practicing more than others. You see them developing their skills day in and day out. And so what I encourage you to do, I'm always giving you self-awareness practices. And this is really important. What are you weak in your skills? What's your strength in your skill? I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said that they're really, really good at negotiating and closing deals. Perfect. Well, what are you weak in? Well, getting to that point, taking the time to nurture, taking the time to network, whatever it is that you're weak in. And so when they had people in the funnel, if they could close them, they were all good. But to keep that upper and middle funnel full so you could have those lower funnel people that you could close, they were having a hard time with that. So when you think about it, what skills do you need to improve in for this year? What could you do right now that would make you do more with the ball? This year, my word is expansion. I always pick a word every year. I've shared that with you before. And so I want to expand mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. I want to expand in my finances. So I have to get specific. I have to say, what does that look like? And then from there, I have to say, what skill sets do I need to improve on? Maybe I need to read more on finance and understand bottom lines and be able to read profit and loss statements. And I have purchased books on that. I know how to do that. I can kind of skim over something and see and kind of get a gist of it, but I want to know the numbers better. That's something that I feel personally that I need to work on it. And yours may be something else. I don't know. Some people are great at free throws and some people super suck at them. Some people can dunk the ball and some people can shoot threes. You need to find what you're weak in, because if you're weak, that gives you vulnerability. And it's just kind of like that fence that you're putting up brick after brick or board after board. And if you have a hole in the fence becomes almost useless because everything can go through that. And I've seen it over and over and over again where people just kind of double down on their strengths and just kind of keep operating at that level. And then a year, 2, 5, 10 years, they have nothing. Because they decided to settle, and in their ego, because this is very important, guys, I want you to understand this. Your ego will always tell you that you're good enough. It wants you to be comfortable. It wants you to eat bad food. It wants you to watch Netflix. It doesn't want you to work. And it'll cut deals with you. Your ego cuts deals with you all the time. Don't worry about that. It's fine. You've got this. When it happens, you can wing it. You've done this for years and years. You're an expert. I did that in a meeting a while back ago, and the meeting kind of didn't turn out the way that I thought it would. And I literally had to critique myself and say, you know what, Jason? If you would have prepared 10 minutes, that meeting would have went in a totally different direction. Because you don't know what to expect. I mean, you can have, and you guys should listen to my podcast about having the meeting before the meeting. You can do that, especially if you're going to have a group of people. You can have 2 or 3 meetings, quick meetings, a few days out, and then kind of get a gist of what that meeting is going to be about by having one-on-ones with these other people. So when the meeting gets together, guess what happens? Everybody's on the same page. And you have the answers from those individual questions. And they may not have would have asked you those in a group setting. Especially if you're in sales, it's so important to have the meetings before the meeting so that you have the answers ready when you have the big meeting. So when I think of things that I can do more with the ball, and I think of this year, I'm like, okay, physically, what can I do more with the ball? I'm doing pretty good. I like exactly where I'm at. I've hired a personal trainer. We've been working out every week for 2 years straight. That's going good. I enjoy it. There's a few tweaks that I can do here and there. I'll work on those. But for the most part, I feel pretty good physically. Mentally, what do I need to work on? And this is, what I need to do more with the ball. Well, I need to watch my emotions. I need to watch my anger. Because anger, when it gets unchecked, for me, turns into hurt feelings and depression and all those things. And if I'm pissed off, then I start, maybe not being the best version of myself to the employees, or maybe even worse, I'll get passive aggressive where I pretend like everything's fine, but then I'm kind of bitchy. And some of you are that way. So mentally, I need to work on that. Spiritually, I feel like I'm doing pretty good spiritually. I listen constantly to, and I say affirmations. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I have a spiritual podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed to that, I encourage you to do that. It's called Higher Density Living. If you just type in Higher Density Living Podcast, you'll see it on Spotify, Apple. We're on everything. So I have to study for that. So that helps me on my spiritual journey. And, of course, we always have a long way to go. We're working with the ego. We're working with relationships and all that. So those are things that I can work on. Being more honest with myself. Not being so hard on myself. Those things are spiritual to me. And so I feel like when I can forgive and accept who I am and not have this cruel, unrealistic taskmaster that's over my shoulders, just looking at me, ready at any moment to criticize me. So that spiritually I can work on that. Emotionally, I think emotionally it's me being the leader that I need to be and not being closed off emotionally. And, not being narcissistic and sharing everything with everybody and talking about myself all the time. But what I'm talking about is with my team, my employees, is being able to open up more emotionally. Not let them see like the robot Jason or the Jason that's always in a good mood, the Jason that's, always positive, but share with them a little bit more some of the things that I may be struggling with. I think I can be more vulnerable. I think that's a good word. And that would allow me to do more with the ball in my leadership. And you need to take, those are just a few things, but you need to take your weaknesses and say, hey, not how you can turn them to your strengths. You may take a 3 and turn it to a 5. But hey, that's a lot better than you did last year or the year before that or the year before that. If you're at a 10, congratulations on something. Keep doing that. That's your strength. That's your superpower. Go with it. Use that all the time. But you can tweak things. I guarantee you Kobe Bryant was tweaking things constantly. I've heard stories of the way that he would get up at like 3:30, 4:30, 5:30 in the morning and be doing drills, high school drills, elementary, high school drills on the court, going back to the basics. And I think it's so important, guys, whenever you look at greatness, whenever you see somebody that is doing something that you envy in a good way, somebody that motivates you, if you look behind the scenes, I guarantee you, they're working on those things that they know is leaving that board in the fence, that brick undone, and allowing things to be able to come through. Just be honest with yourself. It's so hard to do. You're going to realize how hard it is to be honest with yourself. If you want to test yourself the greatest and see how dishonest you are with yourself, do 75 hard. Look that program out. Look it up. It's called 75 hard. You will want to quit that so many times. You will try to cut yourself deals. You will see in every aspect of your life, it's a mental program. It's not a physical, even though it's all physical, but really it's mental. You will see how much you lie to yourself. You will see how much you cheat yourself. It will reveal I've done it 3 times. I've only done it once. 2 other times I failed. I just was cutting myself deals and saying, oh, you don't need to do that. This is fine. You'll make it up, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the way it works. There's these die hard rules. You either did it or you don't. Be honest about it. And so I ask you again, and I'm going to say this again, you will never be great till you can do more with the ball.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.